Hey everyone. In this video, we're going to be looking at the big ideas for section 4.6. So let's start off by talking about sampling variability. And what does that mean? What does sampling variability mean? Well, what it basically means is this, that different samples are going to yield different estimates. Sometimes sampling variability is also referred to as sampling error. But it just means different samples are going to give you different estimates. That's what a sample is. We collect a random sample in order to estimate a population parameter. So different samples are going to give us different estimates. Another fact about sampling is this: larger samples are going to produce more accurate estimates. So if I have a sample size of 20, that's going to give me an estimate of some kind of parameter. But if I increase that sample size to 50 or 60, this larger sample is going to give me a more accurate estimate. Okay, that's just a fact that we need to know. Now, another thing that we can do with sampling variability is we can create something called a margin of error. And a margin of error creates an interval of plausible values. Now we're going to get into how to create this margin of error later on in the course. But in general, what we can see is this. If we were to take a sample of some sort, whatever it may be, that gives us an estimate. But then if we add and subtract a margin of error, we are going to be creating an interval that gives us a list of plausible values. So if we put this all together, when we take a sample, we are collecting a random sample that we hope will estimate a population parameter. And if we take that sample and then add and subtract a margin of error, we now have an interval of plausible values that can estimate a particular parameter. So that's what this margin of error does for us. Now, let's take a look at what it means to be statistically significant. Well, the first thing that we need to know is this. When something is statistically significant, that means that the results from the study are too unusual to have occurred purely by chance. So we should know that something is unusual if the probability of it happening is really, really small. If the probability of something happening is 50-50, that's not very unusual. So if the probability is like 1%, there's only a 1% chance of this happening, that's pretty unusual. Well, if we find that the results of a study are really unusual, that means that they're too unusual to have occurred just purely by chance. We call that statistically significant. So now where's that cutoff point? Well, we're going to look at it like this. If we find that the probability of something is less than or equal to 5%, we're going to say that it is statistically significant. If the probability of something occurring is greater than 5%, then we say it is not statistically significant. And again, one of the key things to all of this is this probability that we are finding is the probability that something occurs purely by chance. So if we find that the probability of something occurring purely by chance is less than 5%, we are getting into the realm of whatever we're collecting being statistically significant. So those are the big ideas that we need to learn about and should come away with for section 4.6. Hopefully this helps your understanding, and hopefully you have a great day.